The sun hung low over the sprawling Air Force Base, casting long shadows across the line of families waiting to get in. Kids held balloons, wives carried picnic baskets, and airmen moved briskly through the entry lanes. It was supposed to be an easy day. Relaxed. Routine. But the atmosphere shifted the moment an old veteran stepped up to the front of the checkpoint. He wasn't like the others. No bright clothes. No family with him. Just a weather-beaten duffel bag slung over one shoulder and a faded military cap pulled low over his silver hair. The young security guard, Airman Lopez, barely looked up when he said, "ID, sir." The veteran handed him a tattered, decades-old military identification card. The edges were cracked, ink faded, photo nearly invisible. Lopez raised an eyebrow and snickered. "Sir, this is ancient. We switched to digital IDs before I was even born." People in the nearby line turned to look. Lopez scanned it anyway. The handheld scanner beeped. Then flashed red. Invalid, possible forgery. Lopez laughed out loud. "Fake ID? Seriously? You thought this would work?" His partner, Airman Brooks, joined in. "Come on, man. You bought this at a surplus shop or what?" Whispers spread through the line. Some watched with amusement, others with pity. But the old veteran didn't flinch. No anger. No embarrassment. His face stayed calm, disturbingly calm. He simply studied the base entrance as if he was assessing it, remembering it, almost like he'd been here before, long before these guards were ever born. Brooks tapped the screen again. "No records found. System says you don't exist." He grinned smugly. "Guess we caught ourselves a pretend war hero." Still nothing from the veteran. Only his voice, quiet, steady, cutting through the noise. "Son, that ID has higher clearance than this entire gate." The guards exchanged a look. Then they laughed harder. Crowd tension grew. A few visitors stepped back. Something about the old man didn't sit right. His posture was too perfect. His eyes too alert. His silence too deliberate. Lopez waved him aside. "Step over here, sir. You might be facing detention for attempting to enter a U.S. military installation with forged documents." The veteran didn't resist. He simply shifted the weight of his duffel bag. And waited. As if he already knew what was coming. Airman Lopez motioned the veteran toward the shaded inspection area beside the gate. Families watched from a distance. Some curious, others uncomfortable with how disrespectful the guards were being. But no one stepped forward. It wasn't their place. Lopez folded his arms. "All right, sir. Let's try this again. Maybe your magic ID will work if I scan it twice." Brooks chuckled. "Or maybe it'll teleport us to 1975. They were trying to impress each other more than anything. Brooks grabbed the ID and ran it through the base system terminal, a much stronger scanner than the handheld device. The machine hummed, screen blinking. Lopez leaned over. "Watch this. It'll say invalid again." But this time the scanner didn't reject it immediately. Instead, the cursor froze. The screen flickered. Lines of text distorted. Noise crackled through the speakers. Brooks frowned. "That's weird. It's not scanning. It's lagging?" Lopez snorted. "Base computers suck, bro. Just hit it harder." The veteran watched with the expression of someone observing children playing with tools they didn't understand. He stood perfectly still, hands behind his back like a soldier at rest. Brooks tried again. Accessing. Processing. 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 Lopez made a dramatic gasp. "Oh no. The super-secret ID is thinking about letting us in." The nearby families chuckled nervously, unsure whether the guards were joking or overstepping. The veteran's voice broke the air quietly. "Don't force it. It was never meant for your system." Brooks tilted his head. "Sir, with all due respect, what does that even mean?" The veteran just looked at the scanner. "Your machine isn't authorized to read that clearance." Lopez rolled his eyes so hard it almost hurt. "Okay, General, whatever you say." But there was something in the veteran's eyes, calm, calculating, almost too sharp for his age, that sent a brief shiver down Brooks' spine. He shook it off quickly and turned back to the machine. "Let's run a deeper check," he muttered. He typed a command. The screen responded with a soft beep. Then, Level 3 security query initiated. "Please wait." Lopez froze. "Well, what? Why did it trigger a Level 3 check? I didn't request that." Brooks swallowed. "I didn't either." Visitors in line looked around, feeling the shift in the air. Something wasn't right. The veteran still hadn't moved. His voice remained steady. "Boys, I told you. That ID isn't fake. It's classified." Lopez scoffed again, but this time the confidence in his laugh wavered. Brooks checked the loading bar. Only a thin sliver had filled. Whatever the system was doing, it was big. And it was only just starting. The loading bar crawled painfully slow across the screen, each pixel lighting up like a countdown. Lopez tapped his foot impatiently. Brooks kept glancing at the veteran, uneasy now though he didn't know why. The veteran didn't look at the guards. His eyes drifted toward the runway in the distance, where an F-16 thundered into the blue sky. For a moment, the roar of the jet carried him somewhere else. And the world around him faded into a memory. Flashback, 38 years earlier. The sky was black with smoke. Desert winds whipped across the cracked earth. A younger version of the same man, leaner, fierce, cold-eyed, ran toward a downed helicopter surrounded by enemy fire. Bullets kicked up sand beside him. He didn't flinch. He wasn't supposed to be there. His unit wasn't supposed to exist. And the mission he was on, officially never happened. A voice crackled through his earpiece. Ghost 7 extraction incoming. Hold position. He didn't respond. He never did unless absolutely necessary. Because silence was his weapon. He dragged a wounded pilot behind a dune just as an enemy truck approached. The younger veteran lifted his rifle, fired 2 precise shots, and the truck went still. He didn't hesitate, didn't celebrate, didn't even breathe harder. This was what he was built for. A black scorpion patch stitched onto his vest fluttered in the wind. The insignia of a unit so classified, most of the military believed it was a rumor. The Sand Scorpions. A deep cover operations team deployed when missions required ghosts, not soldiers. Their existence was erased after every operation. Their identities locked in sealed files. Their service buried in dark archives marked, eyes only. Back to present. The veteran blinked, pulling himself out of the memory. Brooks noticed the small, faded scorpion tattoo on the veteran's wrist. What's that? Some old biker gang? The veteran didn't answer. Lopez laughed. He's probably telling people he was CIA next. The scanner beeped again. Processing classified clearance code. Requesting archived access. Restricted file detected. Brooks's face slowly drained of color. Oh, Lopez. Why would a fake ID lead to an archived file? Lopez tried to keep his voice steady. Probably a glitch. These systems. Another beep cut him off. Level 0 reference found. Brooks whispered. Level 0? We don't even have level 0 on base. The veteran finally spoke, voice low and steady. You boys ever hear of the Sand Scorpions? Brooks shook his head. Lopez frowned. No. Who are they? The veteran's eyes hardened, not with anger, but with memory. Exactly. He looked back at the scanner. We were never meant to be remembered. Lopez swallowed, suddenly less amused than he had been 10 minutes ago. Brooks stared at the frozen loading bar, feeling a strange pressure in his chest. The kind that told him something big was unfolding and he was accidentally standing in the middle of it. Still, Lopez tried to regain control of the situation. All right, sir, he said, forcing a smirk. I think you've wasted enough of our time. We're detaining you until we figure out what kind of stunt this is. He reached for the veteran's arm. The veteran didn't resist. He didn't pull back. He didn't even look at the guards. He simply shifted his stance, barely a movement, but with a precision that made Brooks instinctively step back. Lopez grabbed his wrist. And that's when everything changed. The gate system glitches. The terminal suddenly emitted a sharp beep. The screen flashed white, then black. Then, access override initiated. Clearance level 0. Source redacted. Brooks jumped. What the hell is that? I didn't touch anything. The computer fan roared, as if the machine was being forced to process something far beyond its normal capacity. Families near the gate stopped talking. Even kids went silent. The air felt heavier, thicker, wrong. Lopez released the veteran's arm, confused. This has to be a joke. That's not a real clearance code, right? Brooks didn't answer. Because the screen began spilling lines of encrypted data, scrolling so fast his eyes couldn't keep up. Security cameras swiveled automatically. The gate barriers clanked shut. Warning lights along the perimeter blinked to red. A robotic voice echoed from the speakers. Unauthorized access detected. Top secret protocol lockdown initiated. Lopez's jaw dropped. What did you do? He demanded. The veteran looked at him calmly. Nothing. This is simply the system recognizing me. Brooks whispered. This is insane. Level 0 means beyond top secret. I didn't even know that rank existed. The veteran met his eyes, steady and unshaken. Most people aren't supposed to know. Crowd panic rises. Visitors backed away. Civilians stared. Air Force personnel jogged over, confused and alarmed. Lopez tried to regain authority. This is a malfunction. The system is overreacting. But before he could finish, the terminal emitted one last sharp beep. Alerting base commander. Brooks froze. Bro, it just called the commander on its own. The veteran lifted the duffel bag again, settling the strap on his shoulder. He spoke quietly. You boys should step back now. Things are about to get very official. And then, in the distance, the rumble of multiple engines began approaching the gate. The distant rumble grew louder, deep, heavy engines rolling in formation. Lopez and Brooks exchanged nervous glances as a convoy of black security vehicles surged toward the gate, dust lifting behind their tires. Families stepped aside. Airmen straightened instinctively, unsure why command vehicles were responding to a simple gate scan. The convoy screeched to a halt. Doors swung open. Armed military police poured out first, taking positions around the perimeter. Hands hovered near holsters. Eyes scanned the area with trained precision. Brooks whispered, voice trembling, "Why would MPs show up for an ID scan?" Lopez had no answer. Then the final door opened. A tall, broad-shouldered man stepped out, decorated uniform, crisp hat, silver cluster insignia glinting in the sunlight. Base Commander General Nathaniel Strickland. A man no one expected to see outside an emergency or VIP visit. He walked with purpose toward the checkpoint, expression tight, jaw clenched. The guards instinctively stood straighter. "Which one of you triggered a level 0 alert?" His voice thundered across the gate. Lopez nearly choked. "Sir, we didn't do anything. The system just malfunctioned." Brooks nodded rapidly. "The ID, sir, it looked fake. We just scanned it in." The general ignored them. His eyes locked on the veteran, and everything about him changed. His posture softened. His voice lowered. His face, previously hard as steel, shifted into something almost reverent. "I'll be damned." He stepped forward slowly. "Sir, we were not informed you were coming." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lopez blinked. "Sir? You know him?" The general shot him a glare sharp enough to cut metal. "Airmen, stand down immediately. That man outranks every single person on this base, including me." Lopez's mouth fell open. Brooks felt his knees weaken. The veteran simply nodded once. "Strickland." The general straightened. "It's an honor, Major." Lopez's voice cracked. "Major? Major who?" The general exhaled almost respectfully. "Major Roger Bentley. Call sign, Dead Eye." Brooks froze. That's the guy who vanished during the Scorpion operations. But he's not even in the public records. "Exactly," the general said. He turned to the guards, fury simmering beneath his voice. "You detained a classified operative whose existence you are not cleared to acknowledge." Lopez and Brooks stood speechless. The general approached the veteran directly. "Sir, if you'll allow it, I have a secure escort ready to bring you inside." The veteran lifted his duffel bag. "Lead the way." The general nodded, but paused just long enough to give the guards a glare they would remember for the rest of their careers. General Strickland walked beside the veteran as the escort team opened the inner gate. MP vehicles idled nearby, their lights still flashing in slow, deliberate pulses. The entire base, airmen, families, even children, watched in stunned silence. Lopez and Brooks remained frozen at the checkpoint, pale and rigid, like statues carved from regret. As they passed, the general spoke loudly enough for the guards, and everyone else, to hear. Years ago, during the Scorpion operations, there was a mission deep in enemy territory. A mission so dangerous no one volunteered, except him. He nodded toward the veteran. Visitors leaned in. Airmen stepped closer. Silence thickened. "He led a small team behind enemy lines," the general continued, "to recover intelligence that would have changed the course of the war. But halfway through the mission the team was compromised. Every escape route vanished." Lopez swallowed hard, chest tight. "Command wrote them off," Strickland said. "We marked them Kia. No one could have survived what happened next." He paused. "But he did." The veteran stared ahead, eyes distant. Not proud, not ashamed, simply remembering. General Strickland's voice softened. "He carried out the mission alone. He brought back the intel. He saved thousands of American lives. And because the operation was classified at the highest level, his identity and service record were sealed. Buried so deep only a handful of people on Earth can access them." Brooks whispered, So, The ID wasn't fake. The general turned sharply. It was never fake. It is so highly classified that most modern systems are not allowed to authenticate it. That's why your scanners failed. Lopez felt his stomach drop. Strickland faced the young airman fully. You laughed at a man who has bled in countries you will never read about, for missions that will never make it into textbooks, in uniforms you will never see. The words hung in the air like a verdict. The veteran finally looked at the two guards. Not angry. Not offended. Just tired. He stepped closer, stopping just a few feet away. His voice was quiet but carried the weight of decades. Respect the uniform, boys. Even when it looks old. Lopez's eyes stung. Brooks lowered his head. The veteran didn't wait for apologies. He simply nodded once to the general and continued walking toward the escort vehicle. Strickland followed, but before stepping in he turned back to the guards. You two will report to my office at 0700. We're going to discuss professionalism and humility. The two guards could only nod. As the escort doors closed and the vehicles rolled deeper into the base, the crowd slowly exhaled. Whispers spread. Some saluted quietly. Others watched with a newfound understanding. The veteran wasn't a myth. He wasn't a ghost. He wasn't a poser. He was a hero they were never meant to know. And now, they finally understood what true respect looked like. The convoy rolled deeper into the base until the engines faded into the distance. Slowly, normal sounds returned. Families talking again, children tugging at parents' hands, but nothing felt the same as before. The air carried a quiet reverence, as if everyone understood they had witnessed something they were never meant to see. Lopez and Brooks stood at the checkpoint long after the gates reopened. Neither spoke. Neither moved. They weren't thinking about punishment or embarrassment anymore. They were thinking about that calm old man who walked like he'd carried the weight of entire wars on his shoulders, and never asked for thanks. The next morning, before sunrise, maintenance crews at the main gate noticed something unusual. A small team of base historians, escorted by officers, installed a simple black plaque beside the security booth. No ceremony. No speeches. Just a plate of metal with engraved words. In honor of the unseen guardians. Those who served without recognition. Protected without praise. And walked among us in silence. Below it, a small emblem. A scorpion. Visitors paused to read it. Young airmen stared at it with curiosity. Lopez and Brooks stood in front of it longest, understanding far more than the others. Inside the base, Major Roger Dead-Eye Bentley rode quietly in the back of a transport jeep. He didn't look out the windows, didn't acknowledge the escort, didn't bask in the respect. That wasn't why he came. He reached into his duffel bag and pulled out an old photo. His Scorpion unit, dusty and exhausted, standing in a desert no map acknowledged. He ran a thumb across the faces. One by one, then tucked the photo away. When the jeep stopped at a restricted hangar, he stepped out slowly. The guard snapped to attention without a word. He nodded once and disappeared inside the building, back into the world of sealed corridors and locked doors. Back into silence. The legend continues. By afternoon, everyone on base had heard the story. Airmen whispered it in dorm halls. Families retold it in the cafeteria. New recruits repeated it like a lesson. Respect every veteran. Some of them wrote the chapters we will never read. And somewhere far beyond the public eye, Major Bentley walked the old halls of classified wings, quiet, steady, carrying the past like a shadow. Never asking for recognition. Never needing applause. Just continuing the duty he never truly left. Like, share, and subscribe for more Veteran Valor stories.